Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to another Christmas in July video. And today I'm bringing you 4 ornaments that start with scrap paper circles. Yep, that's it, scrap paper. You will not believe. And if you stick around, one of them, you are literally not going to believe the tiny scrap that we use to create a full ornament. All right, let's get started. Let's start with this guy. I think he's so pretty. He'll be our first one to get going. The first one is so easy. All you're going to need is some circles. Now, these circles in particular, I made with this punch, which is a 2.5-inch punch. Love this guy. It comes in handy. But any circle you have, dies, you have an electronic cutting machine, you can do this with a Cricut or anything that can cut a circle. And actually, any size circle, as long as they are the same. Now, I've cut 9. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull 2 aside, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just to make sure. And I'm going to put those aside for a second. These 2, I want to glue together just for some stability. I want to make this a little sturdier. And I'm just going to add some glue between the 2. I have to tell you, I found most of these I'm going to show you today either on Pinterest or I was inspired by Pinterest. And so anything I can share links for and give credit to the people who designed these, I'm going to put it in the description below because there's some really cool designs. And even though I kind of play on them and turn them into my own, there is a lot of folks that had a lot of really smart ideas. Okay, so now that I've got those put together, I'm going to let those just sit there. Now these guys, for the fun of it, I'm going to emboss them. So I've just got an embossing machine out here. It's taking up a little bit of space. Let me move it. I'm going to open this folder up. This is a large folder. It's not Christmas. I don't really think that matters so much. Like, it's not holly or anything. It could be. You could absolutely do that. But I'm just going to put some embossing on these guys. I think it'll be pretty. So I can do 6 at a time. I'll have to do 1 more. The cool thing is if you're going to make a bunch of these, like every year I say, I want to make so many paper ornaments that I can do 1 whole Christmas tree and paper ornaments, but I never have the time. And again, it's July. So if we pick a project, this is what we should talk about. We need to pick a project. We can't do everything. So either we need to do a project a month or we need to do a project before the holidays and prep ourselves for it. So maybe what you want to prep for is making your greeting cards like we talked about in last week's video, or maybe you want to decorate with your paper. I think paper decorations are so pretty. All right, now what we're going to do is take these guys out of here. Look how pretty they are. I'm going to emboss the 1 more and we'll get right back together. Now, putting these aside, I'm going to use a plain circle to show you what I'm about to do, and I'm also going to make myself a bit of a template, okay? So this circle here, what we're going to do is we're going to fold this guy in half, just like so. You don't have to worry about creasing it. You can. I'm going to because mine is not folded all the way flat. So I'm going to crease that down to get it nice and flat. Now I want to fold this 1 more time because I want to find the actual center of this circle. And remember, I'm making a template because if I'm going to make several of these, I want them to be pretty similar. All right, so with this guy folded in half and with my template here, I want to mark up 1/4 inch. You don't have to do this with a ruler. You can eyeball this, but I just want to give you an idea of where that 1/4 inch mark would be. So make a little mark right there. And I can see that. Can you? Yes, you can see that. Now what I want to do is I want to take some scissors and I'm going to cut up to that point, that little dot, from the folded side to that dot. And you're cutting through a couple layers. And I used a thick cardstock here, okay? So now what I want to do on my template is I want to make this this line a little wider for me. So I'm just going to trim a little hair off of each side. Again, this is for the template. I'm not going to do this for the other one. I don't think so. We'll see if I need to. The only reason I might need to is because I doubled that centerpiece. That's enough right there, just so I can get in there, okay? Now I'm going to open this guy up, and look what we've done. We've created this template, okay? You can either make this 2 templates by cutting it in half or just leave it folded in half and you'll be fine. But if you want 2 templates, like maybe if you're working with somebody else, cut this guy in half and you both have a template. Here's what you do next. You go around and you fold all of these in half. Don't worry too much about your embossing getting squished because it's still going to show just fine. Take your template, line this guy up, and what I'm going to do is pen line this right down my little piece, because I found when I made my first sample, all my lines weren't the same length. And I feel like if I do this, I'll get the same length, and you get a better result if this center line is the same length on each one of your pieces. All right, so back to this guy. He felt kind of thick. We're going to fold him in half. Crease him down here in the back side. Put our template on him. Make sure it's nice and lined up. And I'm just going to draw my line just like so. Consistency is more important here than perfection. Just as long as each one is the same. If they're slightly off, it's okay. Like if this line is not super perfect and mine isn't, mine's a little bit crooked, it really just needs to be consistent. All right, let me do all of these the same way. So I have all my pieces folded and the slice made in them. And now what I want to do is I want to put a hole in the center of this. I'm going to use this template to find the center again of this circle. So just laying this guy down, I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to make a mark right here because I know that's the center based on my template, right? Now I want to poke a hole. I feel like I'm going to want to run a string through here for decorations. So let's go ahead and poke that hole before we get too far. I'm going to be using the big bite for this, and that is because the other one won't reach through to my 2.5 inch circle. So if you've never seen one of these before, I'll show you real quick what it does. We do carry these in the store if you want to pick one up. They're really fantastic. If you watch right here, you can see where the little hole punch piece is coming through, and you can do 2 different sizes. You can do the smaller hole and the larger one there, and this also sets in your grommets. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy in, poke that hole right over our little pin mark, and that way, no matter what I want to thread through, I'll have a hole for it. Okay, now the fun part. I think this is so cool. Now you're going to take these pieces you made these slices in, and you're going to slide that slice all the way to your cut, okay? And then you're going to open it slightly. Don't worry too much about how much you're opening it right now. We'll come back and edit that because we'll want to kind of line everything up, but that's what you're going to do first. Isn't that cool? Something I have discovered about paper ornaments. A lot of times, if you just cut a bunch of a shape or a bunch of some like die cut piece or something, fold it in half and glue them together, it creates a 3-dimensional shape. And this is doing very much that with so little product. I'm going to open this up. And like I said, don't spend too much time here because we're going to come back and put these where they need to go. But look how cool that's starting to look. Isn't that neat? I love this one. The reason I felt that the template was important is because this area here kind of is a tattletale if you don't get them all cut just right. Do you see how they're nice and even here? Even this is slightly off. When they're very far off, you can really tell they're not exact. So I think it's important to do the template first. Okay, so with it looking like this, now is when you can kind of put your pieces where they need to go as far as spreading them out. This one's not very far off, and you really don't have to have them perfect. Once you have this hanging, you're not going to be looking at it from the top down for the most part. You'll be looking at it from the side. And so we're not looking for perfection, but that's about how I want mine. Now, here's what I did. I thought this is just paper, and over time, it's probably going to get pulled away if I don't secure it. So I just took my glue, and on the underneath side, it really doesn't matter because the glue is going to dry clear. I take the little point of the glue, and I push it in to where they meet and add a dot. And that will dry and become kind of an anchor. And I'm going to do this on the bottom, and I think I'm going to do it on the top also. Like I said, it's going to dry and you're not going to see it. So I have glue in every single section there, and I want to show you this. This is the second one I've done. This is the first one I did. This one, I did a single layer of cardstock in the middle. I don't think it was strong enough, and you'll see I didn't emboss it. I just think the embossing really adds something. And I think, too, if you embossed and you also ink dragged would be so pretty. If maybe you did this with like a gold metallic ink drag or even white would be so pretty. But they're gorgeous in just solid color as well. Okay, so what I was saying about that hole, I think it'd be pretty if we put some kind of finishings on the top and the bottom. So let's talk about that. For the next part, you can really play with this. I want to put something at the top and the bottom to kind of close the ornament off. So I took another punch. This is a 1 1/4 inch punch. It's the scallop circle, and I have some glitter cardstock. I'm going to do the same thing with these and glue 2 together because I think they'll look good to see the glitter from top and bottom. So just take a minute to do that. Plus, we always like stability, and adding a layer of glue and another layer of cardstock makes it stronger for over time. So I'm going to glue 2 sets together. There's one. Okay, now I'm going to poke some holes in these guys in the centers. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be close. I'm just going to eyeball this. So these are some beads from my stash, and I have lots of beads. We have some in the store too if you're interested, but these are like multiple packs I put together. I just like to keep these handy, and this is the time of year I'm always digging into like beads and tassels and charms and buttons and things like that. So here's what I want to do. This is a dental threader. These are actually not dental. These are the ones we carry in our store that are for sewing and things like that, for threading needles and stuff. I want to show you what I'm going to do with this. This bead, I want it to be on the bottom, and I want to put it on the bottom with some ribbon. So I think I'm going to tie a knot at the bottom of this ribbon. And I'm going to have to do it a couple times because I need it to be thick enough that it doesn't come through. I could put another little element, you know, another little bead or something there to stop it, but I think this knot will be plenty, pretty good size. Then I'm going to take one of these beads and find the hole. It's right there. I'm going to stick my little threader through. See that loop? Then I can stick this guy into that loop and pull it through. You're probably thinking, why aren't you just using your bead threader? These holes aren't quite big enough for my bead threader, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. But let me see. Yeah, the bead threader just doesn't quite go through those. So you have to have options. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to thread this. And he'll live on top of that bead. Isn't that cute? Just a little extra something there. Then I'm going to thread the ornament. My plan here is for this to sit like this. I am going to glue that where it touches, but I think that'll be pretty on the bottom, and I'm just going to mimic it on the top. So that means, just means we're going to do it in reverse. So instead of the bead first, we'll do our little glitter washer. It feels like a little washer, doesn't it? So we'll do this guy first. And he'll sit there. And then our bead. That's going to be pretty. Isn't that neat? I like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take the time to glue where the gold touches the cardstock, just like we did on the inside. I'm pulling this kind of tight, like I'm pushing some pressure with my fingers. So let's get this lined up where we want it. And everywhere it touches, add a little glue. Again, it'll dry and it'll be clear. Same on the top. Now above this, I'm going to make a loop. See if I can turn it, you can see I'll make a loop like this and just tie a knot. Just tie that whole loop into a knot. Pull it where you've got a lot of loop, and the knot goes as low to the bead as you can get it. Doesn't have to be perfect at the bead. Then I'm going to cut this extra away. And that is going to be our paper ornament. It's so pretty. I wish I had a Christmas tree up that I could hang it on to show it to you, but it's so pretty. I'll try to get pictures of them hanging. Let's see if I can do this to show you it sideways. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I mean, you could do this with any of your scraps. And I got to tell you something. This was scraps. This red cardstock was about 3/4 of a piece of a 12 by 12 I had left over. And then this little gold piece here, I'll show you. I've been punching out of it and doing die cuts out of it. And so this was left over from that. And then these beads were left over from last year. I just love this. All right, that's ornament number 1. Now, since you have your template, let's do the second ornament, which is very similar, but a little bit different. I think it's really pretty. So let me show you this one. I saw this one on Pinterest too, and it was so nice. Do the same thing. Let's start by gluing 2 together. Let those sit aside and dry. And let's do the same thing with these. This time, I'm not going to emboss them. I'm going to do something different. So I'm going to fold these in half, and I am going to crease them this time. And this was so pretty. You'll see the post. We're going to share with you the pin that I saw. This person had poked stars in the bottom, and this was so cute. So I'm going to come right down to the bottom and punch through those little stars. You'll want to catch those stars because you can use them somewhere too. They're too cute. Just a couple of little stars on either end. And see what we have there. So we have the stars at the top and the bottom like that. And the other thing you want to do is take your template, go between those stars and draw your line. You might want to draw your lines first so you know where to do your stars, but I got too excited. I wanted to punch. Little punchies coming out, I guess. All right, so this is what we're looking for. So I'm going to run through and do that with 6 of these guys. Every time I'm doing this, I start to think about where this would be good, you know, or practical for you to use in your Christmas. We talked the other day in a live show about how you always want to do stuff with your grandkids or kids when it's Christmas time or when they're on holiday break or things like that. This is a perfect thing. Go ahead and prep it. cut out a bunch of circles. If you have a Cricut machine, just load your mats with cardstock and cut out a bunch of circles. Make your templates ahead of time and get ready, because I know my grandgirls, if they had this template, they would make everybody their own ornament. And I think this would be a great one to do to be pre-prepared for the holidays. Just like in our first ornament, we're going to slice through this section here. Now this time, we're going to open these guys up and we're going to load them the same. But if you remember in our first one, we loaded 7 of our little circle pieces. This time we're going to load 6. And we're really not going to stress too much about opening them just yet, because the way we're going to be doing this one is going to create a secondary shape. But you do want to make sure you're pushed all the way into your little slices, just like before. So I'm going to load all these on, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've got them loaded on. The difference in this ornament is, instead of us using the side view, we're going to use it from the top, okay? And we want to turn this into a star. So we're going to turn these pieces so that they touch and create the star shape here in the center. So you just press them until they meet, and then turn all the little pieces until your star starts to appear. Let's check the other side. Isn't that neat? So you have a star, and then you have stars all the way around. I love that. For these guys, I'm going to glue these pieces together here and let them also glue to the little center circle. So here's what I mean. I'm going to slide my glue tip in and glue it here, which will glue our 2 pieces together where they touch, and also glue it to the paper. This is so easy for kids to do. They're going to love this one. I've told you this before, and I really do feel this way, especially now that I have grandkids. They love to create, but they also like when they create something that feels like a big kid project, you know, like someone much older with more talent made it. You know what I'm saying? Kids, although they are just so creative in and of themselves and willing to try anything, they do like when something comes together like this, right? This is a great one. Okay, now what you're going to do when you place your string is you're going to poke a hole on the side of your project. So let's get our hole punch. Now I messed up. I should have poked a hole for my hanger first, like I did with the first one. I was thinking about that one. I was not thinking about this one. So I'm going to poke a hole with my pokey tool. Now I'll thread a string through it, and you can certainly decorate this in lots of different ways, but I just think this one's really cute and really easy. And honestly, I think if I make this again, it would be so pretty done with glitter cardstock and 2 different colors of cardstock. And I'll show you what I mean by that too, because of the way this one is going to display sideways. Wouldn't it be pretty to maybe put a glitter in the middle? I think that'd be real pretty. All right, I'm going to tie another loop just like that. Let's cut that loose. And then now we have another ornament, again, made from scraps. And these are actually scraps that were scraps from the first ornament I did, because I made more circles than I needed to do that one. And I thought this one would be a fun bonus, right? Okay, let's make another ornament. Now this next ornament I'm going to show you does not start as a circle, but we have to make circles to get to where we want. And would you believe we're going to make an ornament using just this? This is a scrap that is 1 7/8 wide. I'll lay it in here so you can see this. 1 7/8 wide, and it's 6 inches long, okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. I told you before, my score blade is out. I've got to replace it. So I'm just going to do this and score this at 1/2 inch, but this is another option if you don't have a scoring board. There we go. We scored it at 1/2 inch. Now what I want to do is I want to cut it into 3 pieces that are 5/8 of an inch each. Now, I want to show you a trick, because when you're working with scraps like this, they can be tiny. So I've got this piece of yellow tape that is not super sticky. I've taken a lot of the sticky off, okay? I'm just going to stick that there to hold it down while I close and slice. That's my first 5/8. Now, my second one should cut this right in half, or close. I mean, we can't be perfect. We just aren't perfect. Our tools can do what they can do. We can do what we can do, but nobody's perfect. All right, so I'm going to lay that down, slice that in half. And then I can peel this away. Save that for later. I just stick it somewhere on my work surface so I can get to it later. Okay, now, you're not going to believe this is going to make an ornament, and it's a super cute one too. Check this out. You're not going to fold this. That score mark is a reference guide, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to take one of your bone folders. It can be your round one or your flat one. You can do a flat one as well. Take it and curl these guys. This is going to make this even better. So just curl them. Curl that one a couple times. I've noticed with this cardstock that I picked up out of my bin that it will separate when I curl. So you might have that, but in this particular ornament, that's not really going to matter. What I mean by separate is the layers will kind of come unlaminated, if that makes sense. Now I'm also going to curl right here, but I'm not trying to rub away my score mark. I just need to be able to see that score mark. I don't have to use it. So I'm just doing that, and I can still see it there. There it is. You can still see it. All right, what we're going to do is take some glue. We're going to make circles. Now here's what's funny. When I saw this ornament the first time, they made it using toilet paper rolls, which is absolutely doable here. If you have a bunch of toilet paper or paper towel rolls laying around, you absolutely can do this. I did not. So I thought, you know what I do have? A lot of scrap paper. All they were doing is starting, I'm going to lay that to hold together. All they were doing was starting with a circle, right? A circle of cardstock, because that's what the core of paper towels and things like that is. So I just thought I'll just make it myself real quick, and I'll get to use something out of the bin. When I say bin, by the way, I call my scrap bin, B-E-N. He is a B-I-N, but I call him B-E-N. That's his name. So these are scraps straight from bin. Add some glue, make our circles. We're only going to make 3. I just think this is so fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let's go back to this first one. Those were sticking pretty good. Really didn't need the tweezers. Here's what we're going to do. This piece where we seamed it, where our seam is, I want that to be the back, okay? It can be the front if you're going to add something to it, but for me, I'm going to push it to the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this guy down like so, as if I had flattened a paper towel roll or a toilet paper roll. You see that? You can crease it. I just am not looking for the crease. The crease is not the thing. I really just need to get to the edges. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to come down here to this end, and I'm going to make a little slice about 1/4 inch up in the center. And then from the edge, we're going to cut, but we're not going to go all the way to this edge. If you do, you're cutting it apart. We're going to have to go in a little bit so that our piece stays together. You will recognize this shape because if you've ever seen anything in the store made similar to this, the edges are still together so that our piece doesn't fall apart. Do you see that? I got a little hangnail. That's why I call those things when I don't do a perfect cut. That'll be fine. Let's go to the other side. I'm going to slice up again. I'm going to go from one edge without cutting through and the other edge. Whoop, that one flew away. And this is what you're looking for. Connected on the end, oval pieces that look like this. You need 3 of them. So let's do it again. So I'm going to bring this guy here. Same thing. We're going to slice up just like this. Avoid the corner. You don't really have to get super close to the corner either. It's not going to matter if you leave that a little bit wider on the end. You just don't want to cut through. Okay, so here's what we've got. These pieces that have these little points on the end. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my cubies. These are the thicker foam squares that come from Barely Art. They're called cubies, and I really love how thick they are. It makes this really easy. I just grab one and I can use it. If you don't have the thicker, this is like 1/4 inch thick. If you don't have that thick of a foam square, just double up some foam and make this happen. So I'm going to peel off both sides. I'm going to grab this on the non-sticky side with my tweezers just so I can put it in here. And inside my inside my little circle piece, in the middle, I'm going to place this little guy, and that is going to establish the thickness of my piece. Okay, so it won't flatten any more than that. So super easy, right? Now watch, we're going to put some glue in the middle, on top and bottom. We're going to take this guy and slide him over and make like an X. You see where this is going? Have y'all seen these before? It's so cute. So dainty. And you see how our cubie is going to keep that thick? I need to let that one dry on the back there. Then what we're going to do, and I like to do this while it's still a little bit wet so I can adjust everything. I'm going to apply some more glue here and here. Put my last one over and onto the middle. Oh, that worked out well. So as long as you do a good X, but you see how I can still adjust because it's still a little bit wet there. Then hold that together till it dries. And what we've made is a little star. Can you believe that started out at a 1 7/8 by 6 inch piece of scrap? You know what I'm saying? You can get a bunch of these from 12 by 12. Let me show you the one that was my first one, my little tester one. I put a little gold string on it to go on the tree. And look how cute that is. There's so much you could do. You could put a little, I don't know, a scallop circle. You could add a little tiny rosette right here would be so cute. Also, double these up, make them bigger. If you make them bigger, you'll probably have to give a little more stability in the middle than that tiny little cube. But these are so cute. And again, using scraps. All right, you guys, for our last circle ornament, and remember, these are just ornaments making circle scraps. You're going to see more ornaments from me. This is just super fun. So on this page, you see I've used most of it, but I've got this that I need to do something with. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to punch 3 2.5-inch gold circles or glitter circles. So from the scrap that's left over, and I'm not even going to use all this page. I'll still have more left, which is good because when I'm making other ornaments, I can come back in and you see that these shapes I used earlier are going to fit in here. So I can use those as well. So we just need 3 little circles. Isn't that great? Now, grab yourself a bead. I think this is a pretty bead, that little kind of iridescent one. Also, this smooth round bead, I might use that one because it's really pretty. You can do so much as long as it goes with your gold cardstock. Look at the gold bead. And you're like, I don't know what you're doing with it, so I don't know what works. But there's so many options, okay? Why don't we use that first one I pulled out, the faceted one. And let's get started. Don't blink. This one's easy, you guys. So we're going to need a little bit of cord. I love this cord. We have been out of it in the store, but I am bringing it back in because I use it so much, and I know you guys like it too. So I'm going to cut myself a piece. I'll tell you about how much this is. We may have to trim some off, but this is about 9 inches. I'm going to turn this down like so, and I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom. You'll only need 1 knot on this one. This knot here is just for traction, so it's just going to give us a place to get our glue to stick to. That's all that's really for. Okay, so there's that. Then we're going to take our circles. We need to fold them all in half and crease them. So I'm going to fold, and I'll go ahead and crease. I will be linking the Pinterest video that I saw this done in. It was so cute. To give you another idea, because she did hers in different colors. And you're going to hear me say this all season, okay? If you, like me, have grandchildren or children or students that you teach, and you want something for them to do around Christmas time, and you seem to never have enough time to get it all done, this is how you do it, okay? Prep, cut these circles, pull out some beads, go ahead and cut the string, put it in a bag, and it's a kit. And when it's time to craft, you are ready to go. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to put glue inside of here. Notice I'm putting it kind of everywhere. And this string is going to get attached to that glue. I'm going to put that in like this. And that knot, like I said, is for traction. So it's going to grab inside of there. So we'll put that in and we're going to press this down and let it all adhere, just like so. Then another one of your circles is going to get wrapped around just like this. Okay. So you'll just glue that guy together just like that. And you can use your sticky tape here if you'd rather. I probably will because a lot of times with glitter, it takes forever to dry. So I'm going to grab some sticky tape, place that in like that. We'll peel this off. Then I had a little bit sticking out. I'm just going to tuck it in like so. And I need to put another piece on the other side. Now I'll just sandwich this right here so they match at the top. And you can make it as wide or as narrow as you want. This is the little skirt of our angel that we're making. There's your first hint. Now this guy gets glued to the back just like that. So you have the little angel and its wings. So we can just glue this one shut. And I'm going to use sticky tape for it as well. If you have Fabri-Tac glue, the clear one that I really love, it would work really well here too. So you could just put some of that in there and then let it dry. Look at that, how easy that is. Now watch, we're going to make it an angel by adding this little head to the top, little angel head. And because I'm using wired ribbon, mine can just stay like that, or I can tie a knot at the top, and I probably will, or either I may add another tiny bead because I think they'd be cute too. But look at that little tiny thing. Let me tie a knot so it won't come off. There you go. I love that little ornament. Can you believe that was 3 circles? And here's what I love about it. If you want these larger, you can just use larger circles from your collection. Larger scraps, larger circles. All right, let's bring everything back over. So this is what we did today. You guys, all from scraps. I just love that. I absolutely adore being able to go into my scrap bin, pull out some pieces, and I especially love that most of these came from a circle punch. So easy to do. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. This was super fun for me to do. I'm going to be bringing you more paper ornament videos. There are so many out there for us to try and so many different ways to make them. I just think it would be super fun to do. Let me know in the comments below if you plan to make any of these, or which one was your favorite. Which one do you think was the most fun to assemble, or the one you think you can see yourself doing? I can see this one as a tag for gifts and these as a garland. Wouldn't that be adorable if you did a bunch of them as a garland? Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a big O Vinny. If you don't know, that means to give us a thumbs up. Until next time, bye now.